Just can you kind of maybe update us on Yamamoto and Russell's potential for tomorrow and what it would mean if you can get both of those guys and Cassie?
Yamo will, he went through a practice today. We won't make a decision on him till the morning, see how he come out of it today. Russell has been skating hard, first real good practice for him, so we'll revisit him in the morning also. The other guys, Neil is not ready, Clefbaum not ready, Nygaard obviously, and Green is a new one. He just had some tests done yesterday and didn't go our way, so he's going to miss some time. He looks fine, ready to go. Yeah.
Just Cassian and potentially Yamamoto, what would that add to your group? I mean, there's a couple of energy.
Well, both of them, good energy, like you say, tenacity, and Yamo obviously had a great mix on that line. Cass is really anxious to get back and going. He's a real passionate guy that wants to help the team any way he can, and has been out for a little bit, so he'll give us a little boost coming back also. So.
Maybe just a comment on the new injury today and Mike Green and what you'd seen from him through a couple of games, and obviously tough to lose a guy right after getting him.
Yeah, you know what he is? He's the epitome of a quality veteran defenseman. I mean, he thinks the game well. He's got good poise with the puck. That's the things that we liked about him, is his ability to pass the puck and find people, you know, on outlet passes and stuff like that. That's where he could excel with us. And unfortunately, just got clipped near the end of the game in Vegas. But the first game, it's hard to judge all those guys. It's hard to judge them just on one or two games when you're on the road. Especially the Vegas game where we look, you know, as the game went on, we got more and more sluggish, it seemed like. But Greener, he's just a smart guy. He reads the plays well. And I think once he gets up and going with us, I'd like to see, I think he could really help us. But unfortunately, we're not going to see that for a few weeks.
Dave, you put Ennis in Athanasiou with McDavid. Do you see a potential for that line, you know, going forward?
We'll see how it goes. It's both those guys have good speed and skill. So when we put them there, the first game in Anaheim, they were pretty good, and then the second game actually had some good chances in the first, and then AA got hurt there, so we didn't get to see the end of it. So we'll continue with it here and just see how it plays out.
Dave, when you get James Neal back, you throw in Cassian, who's played with McDavid, then you got maybe four wingers, you rotate. What would you be looking for on matchups and line combinations going into it? How much would play on your opposition down the stretch, or how much would play on just the individual players?
Well, you're going to need, I think the Vegas game was a great game for us, because you see them, like, they're a deep team, not a lot of injuries right now. They got four lines coming at you. That's what we're going to need. That's what we're going to need down the stretch here. So however it plays out, where, you know, depending on the injuries, how it plays out, and depending on what happens with Connor's line, those two new guys, we'll see, get a feel there. The one line that I like was the Draisaitl line, and I like Sheehan and Archie together. After that, there's going to be some mixing and matching. But ultimately, we got to get to a point where we feel comfortable. We have four lines we can throw over the boards, because that's what these games are going to dictate. You know, you need to have depth there to get through. And, you know, you look at how the schedule is, and you're playing back-to-backs, and just the intensity of games, you're going to need a lot of people. So where they all fit right now, we'll see. I'll cross that bridge when they all get here, you know. But you know, the more we can get back, the more options we have to get to that point where we feel like we have depth in the lineup, and not just depth in the lineup, but depth that we think can be, you know, every night we have four competitive lines.
Draisaitl's about to hit 100 for the second straight year, be first guy there, possibly win the scoring championship. Can you articulate what you thought you had in this player when you took the job, and now describe what you know you have now that you have it?
Well, I think you have an elite, skilled power forward. And, you know, early on, I looked at them, and even in the summer, I thought we would be a better team with them apart. Now, when they started together, they just took off, and they just, you know, it's hard to break them up when they're getting 3-4 points a night, each of them. But what he is just, he's an elite, talented player, but there's very few people around the league that have the puck as much as this guy. And there's two things about it. He goes and gets it, and when he gets it, he wants to keep it and make a good play. And he's just a powerful guy on the ice. He likes the challenge of guys on him and the ability to protect the puck. And he's a big man, strong, thinks the game very well, and has top skill. And when you have those attributes, you can be a top scorer and you can be a top player in the league, and that's what he is.
Dave, following up on Terry's question then, could you maybe share a thought on how easy or difficult it was for you to convince Connor and Leon that that the team is better if they can run apart?
I think some of it was just finding the depth that they felt comfortable that the two of them didn't need to be together to make stuff happen. You know, when Yamo came in and knew that line took off right away. I mean, Draisaitl felt good that he could mesh with those guys. And now these guys we've got coming with Connor, hopefully we can find some of that same chemistry too. So they wanted, both those guys, they have an unbelievable will to win. And they take a lot of responsibility on that, each of them, as being top players. And early on, I think that they thought the best way to do that was the two of them together. They can will us to win. And they did a lot of games early. But as we go on here, we find out that the more depth we have, the better chance we have to sustain winning long term. And it makes it much harder for matchups for other teams. And you get into long playoff series, and I think you saw this, you know, a few years ago when Edmonton was in the playoffs last, that they got split up and they were both good players. So ultimately, they play together at situations in the game, but for us to be the team that I think we have to be top contenders, I think each of them can drag a lot of people with them.
You mentioned a tough schedule, and it's been a whirlwind of a week leading up to this point. When you talk about moving guys around and having to deal with a lot of flux with these injury situations, how valuable is having a few days at home here to reset coming off of what's been a whirlwind 4 days?
Well, it was good. I mean, we had a late night getting home. It's good. A lot of guys got some good rest yesterday, and today we practiced. We needed a good, hard practice, and which is kind of goes against when you come off a road trip and you feel like you're tired. Sometimes it goes the other way. A little hard practice before you play is not bad for us. So to get home, just to get reset with the practice, we haven't had much practice time, and going forward, there's not going to be a lot of practice time. So the schedule is what it is, and the injuries are what they are. You have to deal with them, and you deal with them best you can, but ultimately you make sure your team is prepared to play, and when you can get rest, you get rest, but when you can get practice and work, you do that, and everything that you do is in preparation for those games. So you're on the road for 3, all you talk about is how do we get points on the road. You come home, okay, rest, okay, get points at home. So the theme stays the same in the end, it's just the road you're getting there gets a little different at times.
Dave, the points speak for itself for Draisaitl's offensive stuff. You've been using him as the guy in a 5-on-3, penalty killing, big face-offs. Can you talk about the evolution of his defensive game, what you like about it, and does it need to go to another level, or do you like where it's at?
Well, there's times when he's, you know, you're looking for that balance a little more, but he recognizes, you know, there's times on the power play he knows he has to be an offensive guy. He knows he has to create stuff, but then as smart as he is in those situations, you put him in that defending role, like down 5-on-3, he digs right into the defensive part of it. Now, when the game's on, there's a lot of that balance in between. He'll defend hard when he has to, but he also recognizes he's got to make plays when it's also, you know, at the right time. So he's got that happy balance. But when he gets dialed into something, whether it be an offensive situation or a defensive situation, talking about, or even a defensive face-off late in the game, he's a powerful guy. He gets dialed into those situations. He does very well at them.
Dave, since the calendar flipped to 2020, Mike Smith has really turned it around, 10-1-4 in his last 15 games. When you have a guy that competitive and fiery between the pipes, does that raise the bar internally?
It helps everybody. I mean, when your goaltender plays well, and both guys I think have played well, But what it does is it gives your team a swagger. Your goalie goes in there and they know that you're going to get good goaltending every night. And Mike is, his game was down a little bit in December, but he's turned the page and really played well since. And whenever a goaltender plays well, it gives your team confidence. And that's what Mike does. He's a real solid veteran. He's a vocal leader in that room, and his play is backing up that vocals right now, which has been really good for us.
And just to follow that up, when he was struggling in December, did you notice anything different that he was trying, or was he just bringing the same attitude each and every night?
I have a long history with him, and the times that I think he struggles a little bit are when he wants to do so well, he tries too hard. He wants to be the best of the best, and sometimes you get trying too hard, and sometimes you just got to relax and let your talents take over and just let the game come to you a little bit. And that's what he's done. He just got back in there. He's playing calm. He's doing things right, and he's playing very well.